8 foods that are destroying your toxic kidneys. I used to believe that drinking enough water and avoiding junk food was enough to keep my kidneys healthy. But once I started digging into the science, I realized there are everyday foods, some even considered healthy, that may silently damage your kidneys, especially if they're already struggling to flush out toxins. In this video, I'm going to tell you about 8 foods that are destroying your toxic kidneys. These are not random guesses. Each one has a specific element, like too much phosphorus, potassium or sodium, or hidden chemicals, that pushes your kidneys closer to failure if you're not careful. As always, please consult your healthcare provider before making any major changes to your diet. Stay tuned till the end to also learn 5 surprising reasons your kidneys become toxic in the first place. Now, let's get started. 1. Processed meats. Imagine biting into that juicy slice of bacon or smoky sausage, thinking it's just a quick protein fix. But what most people don't realize is that processed meats are like stealth attackers when it comes to kidney health, especially if your kidneys are already dealing with toxic overload. Sodium nitrite is a key component in processed meats that initiates this damage. It's added to preserve color and extend shelf life, but once inside the body, it may convert into nitrosamines, highly reactive compounds that wreak havoc on renal tissues. These molecules inflame the endothelial lining of kidney blood vessels and impair their ability to filter waste efficiently. Over time, this constant low-grade inflammation begins to scar the glomeruli, the microscopic filters inside your kidneys, leading to reduced filtration rate, water imbalance, and a dangerous buildup of toxins like urea and creatinine. Furthermore, a high concentration of advanced glycation end products is another factor that harms toxic kidneys. These compounds form during high-temperature cooking and processing and are abundant in cured, smoked, or grilled meats. Once inside the body, AGEs latch onto receptors in kidney tissues, triggering oxidative stress and a cascade of inflammatory responses. This not only disrupts normal detoxification pathways but also stiffens kidney structures, reducing elasticity and blood flow. In a toxic kidney already overloaded with waste, this added inflammatory burden may lead to fibrosis, progressive dysfunction, and eventually kidney failure. According to the Clinical Kidney Journal, ultra-processed foods increase the risk of chronic kidney disease by promoting obesity, inflammation, and metabolic issues like high potassium and phosphate levels. Regular intake may worsen kidney function and lead to serious complications. 2. Cola beverages. You might think it's just a harmless sip to quench your thirst, but cola beverages, especially when consumed regularly, act like a slow toxin for already vulnerable kidneys. A key culprit behind this damage is phosphoric acid, added to cola for that tangy bite and darker color. But once inside your system, phosphoric acid acidifies the blood and overwhelms the kidney's buffering capacity. Since toxic kidneys already struggle to maintain acid-base homeostasis, the added acid load forces them into a state of metabolic stress. This disrupts the normal filtration process, strips calcium from bones, and increases the risk of forming kidney stones. Over time, these stones may cause blockages, infections, and irreversible scarring of kidney tissue, making recovery harder for organs already weighed down by internal toxicity. Also lurking in cola is high-fructose corn syrup, which is extremely harmful. While it sweetens the drink, it also drives up uric acid levels as your liver breaks it down. That excess uric acid doesn't just stay in your bloodstream. It has to be filtered out, and that burden falls on the kidneys. In toxic kidneys, where the filtering units are already sluggish or inflamed, the extra uric acid acts like a crystal irritant. It accumulates in tubules, causes oxidative injury, and promotes inflammation that slowly eats away at the kidney's structure. Over time, such damage may lead to decreased glomerular filtration, rising creatinine levels, and chronic kidney disease progression. According to the National Library of Medicine, Drinking 2 or more colas a day doubles the risk of chronic kidney disease. Phosphoric acid in cola may cause mineral buildup, kidney stones, and long-term kidney damage. Reducing cola intake may help protect kidney health. 3. Canned soups and instant noodles. They're warm, quick, and comforting, especially when you're tired or short on time. But canned soups and instant noodles are far from harmless convenience foods. For anyone dealing with toxic kidneys, they're more like silent saboteurs. One hidden danger lies in the synthetic flavor enhancers like monosodium glutamate, or MSG. While it's used to boost taste, it also stimulates nerve pathways and disrupts kidney metabolism. In toxic kidneys, MSG amplifies oxidative stress by triggering the overproduction of free radicals. These unstable molecules attack cell membranes, alter mitochondrial activity, and impair the energy-dependent filtration mechanisms inside nephrons. The result is a breakdown of cellular integrity in kidney tissues, which invites inflammation, reduces the ability to clear waste, and sets off a cycle of injury that the kidneys can't easily repair. Moreover, instant noodle packets, for example, often contain the preservative TBHQ, which adds another layer of danger to these foods. TBHQ is added to extend shelf life, but once ingested, it's metabolized into reactive compounds that may accumulate in fatty tissues and kidneys. In already toxic kidneys, the substance adds another layer of chemical stress. TBHQ has been shown to disrupt cellular signaling and induce DNA damage, especially in organs tasked with detoxification. As these compounds build up, they further impair the kidney's ability to neutralize waste, leading to increased toxin load in the bloodstream and a faster path to organ exhaustion. According to ResearchGate, instant noodles slightly increase kidney urea levels, indicating early stress. 4. Dairy products. Dairy products might seem like wholesome staples, your morning milk, creamy yogurt, or that extra cheese on a sandwich, but when kidneys are already struggling with toxic overload, dairy may quietly make things worse. Casein, the principal protein present in the majority of dairy products, is one of the key components responsible for this harm. While casein helps in building and repair under normal conditions, for kidneys already loaded with toxins, it's a different story. Digesting and breaking down casein releases acid-forming byproducts that the kidneys must neutralize. In toxic kidneys, this acid load adds to the internal imbalance, making it harder to maintain proper pH levels. The kidneys compensate by leaching alkaline minerals like calcium and magnesium from bones and tissues, which further disrupts mineral balance, weakens bone health, and increases the risk of kidney stone formation, one more layer of damage the kidneys can't afford. According to research, high-protein diets, especially those rich in animal protein, may harm kidney function by causing hyperfiltration, glomerular injury, and inflammation. All dairy products, such as milk, cheese, butter, and cream, are high in saturated fat, which is another unhealthy component. Saturated fat doesn't just affect the heart. It plays a direct role in promoting inflammation within the kidneys. As it circulates through the bloodstream, it contributes to the buildup of fat deposits in renal arteries, reducing blood flow and oxygen supply to already stressed kidney tissues. Over time, this reduction in perfusion slows filtration, encourages oxidative stress, and promotes fibrosis, essentially scarring the delicate nephron structures that are vital for clearing waste. For toxic kidneys barely hanging on, that damage is a serious setback. 5. Red meat. It might be the centerpiece of dinner, grilled steak, juicy burgers, or slow-cooked ribs, but red meat, when eaten regularly, may be a silent wrecking ball for kidneys already struggling with toxins. Red meat contains several harmful elements, one of which is creatine, which the body breaks down into creatinine on its own. Under normal circumstances, creatinine is filtered out by the kidneys with ease, but for kidneys already toxic or impaired, that process slows down dramatically. As creatinine builds up in the blood, it not only signals reduced kidney function, but also worsens the toxic load the kidneys are trying to manage. This metabolic stress clogs the filtration system, reduces glomerular efficiency, and sets off compensatory mechanisms that may raise blood pressure and speed up structural kidney decline. Heme iron is an additional carcinogenic component of red meat. While iron is essential, the type found in red meat behaves differently in the body compared to plant-based sources. Heme iron has been shown to promote oxidative reactions inside the body, especially in organs that handle waste removal. In toxic kidneys, this iron becomes a double-edged sword. It's poorly regulated and contributes to the formation of reactive oxygen species. These unstable molecules damage renal tissues at the cellular level, leading to inflammation, fibrosis, and gradual scarring of the nephron units responsible for filtering blood. That oxidative assault deepens existing dysfunction and shortens the lifespan of kidney tissue. According to ResearchGate, meat harms toxic kidneys by increasing acid load, uremic toxins like TMAO, and oxidative stress. This leads to inflammation, scarring, and faster kidney decline. Reducing meat may help protect kidney function. 6. Pickles and fermented foods. They might seem like healthy add-ons, tangy pickles on your sandwich or a spoonful of sauerkraut to help digestion, but for toxic kidneys, pickles and fermented foods may quietly act as hidden stressors. Pickles, like many fermented foods, have an extremely high sodium content, which is a major health concern. The preservation process relies heavily on salt to inhibit harmful bacteria, but when this sodium enters the bloodstream, the kidneys are left to handle the excess. For toxic kidneys that are already losing efficiency, that sodium surge throws off fluid balance, raises blood pressure, and causes swelling. Internally, it narrows blood vessels in the kidneys and limits their ability to filter blood properly. The long-term result is increased glomerular pressure and faster deterioration of kidney tissue that's already vulnerable to toxic overload. According to research, high sodium intake is linked to a higher risk of hypertension and worse outcomes in chronic kidney disease, especially in advanced stages. Tyramine, a naturally occurring chemical that accumulates during fermentation, is another detrimental component. While harmless for most people in small amounts, tyramine becomes risky when the kidneys are compromised. Normally, it's broken down by enzymes and cleared without much trouble. But in toxic kidneys, where filtering and detox pathways are impaired, tyramine lingers in the bloodstream and interacts with certain hormones, triggering sharp increases in blood pressure. These spikes further damage renal blood vessels, disrupt glomerular function, and accelerate the cycle of inflammation that toxic kidneys are already trapped in. 7. Artificial sweeteners. They're marketed as the guilt-free way to enjoy sweetness, 0 calories, 0 sugar, and all the flavor. But artificial sweeteners, often found in diet sodas, sugar-free snacks, and low-calorie desserts, are far from harmless when it comes to toxic kidneys. A prominent cause for alarm is sucralose, a chemical found in many artificial sweeteners. Although it's promoted as safe, studies show that sucralose may alter the gut microbiome, and the byproducts of those microbial shifts don't stay in the digestive tract. They enter the bloodstream and reach the kidneys. In toxic kidneys, where filtering is already compromised, these byproducts trigger an inflammatory response. They interfere with normal nephron signaling, promote oxidative stress, and degrade the endothelial cells lining the kidney's blood vessels. Over time, this process impairs glomerular filtration and allows more metabolic waste to linger in circulation, which only deepens the toxic burden. Moreover, aspartame is another substance that can put strain on the kidneys. Once ingested, aspartame breaks down into phenylalanine, aspartic acid, and methanol, compounds that are harmless in low doses for healthy people, but problematic when kidneys aren't functioning at full strength. Methanol in particular gets converted into formaldehyde in the body, a toxic compound that accumulates in tissues when it's not properly cleared. For toxic kidneys that are already struggling to eliminate existing waste, this added chemical load promotes cellular damage and disrupts mitochondrial activity within the nephrons, weakening the kidney's energy supply and regenerative capacity. According to PubMed, drinking more than 7 sugar or artificially sweetened beverages per week is linked to a higher risk of chronic kidney disease. The risk was 30 to 40% higher for high versus low intake, though results varied across studies. 8. Restaurant and fast food. It's easy to grab a quick bite at a restaurant or swing through a fast food drive-thru when life gets busy. But what most people don't realize is how much damage those convenient meals may cause to toxic kidneys. One of the most damaging features of restaurants and fast food is the excessive phosphate additives used in flavor enhancers, seasoning blends, and meat tenderizers. These inorganic phosphates are far more absorbable than naturally occurring ones, meaning they hit the bloodstream rapidly. In toxic kidneys, where phosphate excretion is already impaired, this leads to elevated serum phosphate levels. That excess phosphate reacts with calcium in the blood, triggering soft tissue calcification and vascular damage, including in the kidneys themselves. Over time, this leads to arterial stiffness, nephron injury, and a steep drop in kidney filtration efficiency. The continual contact with refined oils and trans fats, which are extensively utilized in commercial cooking and fast food, is another detrimental aspect. These industrial fats don't just affect your heart. They also inflame the kidneys. In toxic kidneys already struggling to fight off oxidative stress, trans fats act as accelerants, increasing lipid peroxidation and damaging the delicate capillaries in the glomeruli. This damage decreases oxygen delivery, worsens local inflammation, and contributes to fibrosis, the scarring of kidney tissue that cannot be reversed. Even small amounts, eaten consistently, may escalate dysfunction at a faster rate than the body can recover. Furthermore, restaurant foods are also notoriously high in hidden sodium, not just sprinkled on top but embedded deep into sauces, batters, marinades, and pre-processed ingredients. For kidneys that are already toxic and struggling to regulate fluid and electrolyte balance, this sudden sodium overload is a recipe for disaster. It causes water retention, spikes blood pressure, and places enormous strain on the kidney's filtering units. The more frequent the intake, the more severe the internal imbalance becomes, eventually leading to glomerular damage, protein leakage into the urine, and eventual progression toward kidney failure. According to the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine, fast and processed foods damage the kidneys by promoting obesity, high blood pressure, and toxic buildup. Moving on, let's discuss 5 hidden reasons your kidneys are toxic. When I first started looking into kidney health, I thought it was all about eating clean and drinking more water. But I quickly learned that your kidneys may get overloaded with toxins from other, less obvious sources, things you come across in everyday life that you'd never expect. If your kidneys are already under stress, these hidden factors could be silently making things worse. So in this video, let's walk through 5 reasons your kidneys could be full of toxins right now. 1. You're living in a high pollution area. Breathing in polluted air doesn't just affect your lungs, it also impacts your kidneys. Fine particulate matter and airborne toxins, like nitrogen dioxide, may enter your bloodstream through your lungs and eventually get filtered through your kidneys. Over time, this exposure leads to oxidative stress and inflammation in the kidneys, impairing their ability to remove toxins efficiently. 2. You use too many over-the-counter medications. If you're like me, you might have reached for painkillers or cold meds without a second thought. But drugs like ibuprofen, naproxen, and even some decongestants may reduce blood flow to your kidneys or cause direct toxicity to the nephrons, the tiny filters inside. The more frequently you use them, the more damage you risk, especially if your kidneys are already compromised. 3. You're not sleeping enough. It's easy to brush off a bad night's sleep, but chronic sleep deprivation messes with more than just your mood. It disrupts the balance of hormones that regulate kidney function. Poor sleep increases inflammation in your body, raises blood pressure, and makes it harder for your kidneys to regulate toxins and fluid levels. 4. You're exposed to heavy metals without knowing it. You may not realize it, but trace exposure to heavy metals like cadmium, mercury, or lead may quietly damage your kidneys. These toxins often come from contaminated soil, household dust, certain cosmetics, tobacco smoke, or even industrial products. Once they enter your bloodstream, they accumulate in the kidneys and interfere with their filtration function. 5. You're under constant stress. Stress doesn't just live in your mind. It changes your body chemistry. Chronic stress raises your cortisol levels, which in turn elevate blood pressure and promote inflammation. Over time, this pressure and inflammatory load wear down the kidney's filtering system, leaving toxins behind and making existing kidney issues even worse. Toxic kidneys aren't just overwhelmed by pollution or chemicals in the environment. They're being hit every single day by what you and I put on our plates. Many of the foods I used to eat without thinking are actually loaded with things like excess sodium, phosphorus, and harmful chemicals that our kidneys struggle to process. If you've ever been told you're at risk or you're already noticing early signs of kidney trouble, changing what you eat isn't just a smart choice. It could be life-saving. And trust me, I've learned that the right diet makes a huge difference. But don't go it alone. Always talk to your doctor or a kidney specialist before making any big dietary changes, especially if your kidneys are already under stress. In this amazing video, we learned about all the foods that destroy your toxic kidneys. But did you know that there are other foods in your pantry that may be just as impactful? Want to find out more? Watch Don't Touch These 8 Fruits if you have diabetes. Or watch the best nuts every diabetic should eat before bedtime. Watch one, or even better, watch both. What other foods do you think are bad for the kidneys? Let us know in the comments below.